2026 started, and I've been saying here and there that this year would be worse than 2025 for gaming. I was waiting for this game to come out for confirmation of that thesis, or if I was wrong. Well, the game came out, and after 12 hours of playing, I'm sad to announce that I've got confirmation of absolutely nothing. Resident Evil Requiem was arguably the second most hyped game of this year, with the first place belonging obviously to GTA 6. Since I don't care for GTA, and I know 6 is gonna be shit, full of woke trash, this game here was my biggest hope for 2026 redeeming itself early as to not be as bad as last year. But this game is neither great nor terrible. It's a competent game. At certain points, it's great fun, but at the same time, there are points where it's just borderline torture. Last year, Expedition 33 swept almost every award at Jeff's game show and won Game of the Year with the most awards ever. It was also a game that came out early in that year, and back then, when I played it, I thought, yeah, this is probably gonna get Game of the Year, even though I didn't feel like it was all that. When playing Requiem, I felt a similar sensation, but it's not quite there at the same level. It's already a candidate for sure, but let's be honest, if GTA 6 really comes out this year, no matter how bad it'll be, it's definitely gonna steal that, just from the sheer hype. I played RE7 and Village back to back just before playing this game, and I have to say, Requiem is very much in the same ballpark of quality. Actually, I enjoyed Village a little bit more. Why, you might ask? Well, enough beating around the bush, let's see what Requiem is about. Gameplay first. Let's get this out of the way first. This is a Resident Evil game, which means it's technically horror, but in practice, it's not. I'll be honest, RE7 may be a little more tense at times, so in percentage terms, it was 10% scary. Village was less overall, about 5%, but meanwhile, Requiem was 0%. I didn't feel a shred of fear at any point. I was startled by some of the cheap jump scares which this game has to an annoying degree, seriously. The amount of scripted events in this game is unreal. I was already used to it from having just finished Village just one day prior, but here they're constant and a lot of them are loud. I'd say half of them did absolutely nothing and the other half startled me into annoyance. Some were so predictable to the point of comedy, like this one at the beginning in this cutscene, which I managed to time perfectly. Well, it's not really a jump scare, but it's supposed to be something sudden. We'll take a look.
Oh, I'm scared. No. We need to find a way out of here now.
But we don't have any of our
We
stuff.
can come back for a Grace.
1.
I
Boom! Perfect! I promise you that was not edited. I did that in real time. Just from the way the camera was cutting around, I knew something like that was gonna happen. But I didn't expect to time it like that. That's how predictable this game is. But yeah, other than the jump scares, this game is not scary in the least. The reason why this monster isn't scary in the least is because it's introduced to you in a cutscene. Look at this.
infected.
There's no atmosphere build-up or anything, it just comes to you like that, and once I know what it looks like, it's over. The biggest problem this game has is its first hour or so. The pacing in this game overall is awful. It's worse than Village's, which is one of the biggest reasons why I think Village is a better game. But the game's first hour is a glorified tutorial movie. There are a shit ton of cutscenes here, and between them, there's fake gameplay, which makes things worse, not better. It's not a good thing to put slow walking and talking segments in between cutscenes, or 3 minutes of super basic gameplay between them. Just get it all over with at once in a big cutscene if you have to, and then start the game. Maybe put one short fake gameplay segment in just so the player can learn the controls, but just one, not several over the course of an hour. This is as bad as the beginning of Death Stranding 2 for you to have an idea, but I feel like this game will get away with it just because it's not Kojima. I was itching to refund this game almost 1 hour in, and I would have done so if this went on for much longer. Thankfully it didn't, but it is scummy to do this just so the player will want to know what the real game plays like, only for it to be too late for refunds, but this whole intro tutorial whatever BS makes me dread ever replaying this game. I probably won't because of it, but this ain't the only time this game subjects the player to something like this. Once the game finally gets going and you enter the main gameplay loop, it alternates between Grace and Leon segments. The pacing of those is all over the place. In the first half of the game, Grace's segments are long, they take hours to complete, while Leon's lasts only 15 minutes or so each. Then by the second half, this gets inverted. We get a massive Leon segment in Raccoon City that takes almost 4 hours, with some cutscenes and an extremely annoying, borderline torture walking simulator segment shoved in it. Then a bit more Leon, then a 30-minute-ish Grace segment, then another 15-minute Leon segment, then Grace again, then Leon again for the final boss. It's all over the place. It would have been much better if we had neatly spaced segments for each character, and each taking roughly the same amount of time. I wanted to play more as Leon in the first half, at least as much as Grace, but his segments were so short it was pissing me off. This game has a lot of cutscenes as well. It has way more than 7 had, or even Village, and unlike in those games where these cutscenes were in first person, connecting pretty much seamlessly with the gameplay, these ones are more standard. They're like movies. I prefer them this way. They don't break immersion as much, but they sure love to kill the pacing of the gameplay by suddenly kicking you into a cutscene regularly. I wish there were less cutscenes, much less. Now the main gameplay loop, finally, it's good. It's not excellent, it's good, but it's only really good in each of these characters' first main segments. Grace's first main segment is good. The gunplay feels better than the one from Village. The guns have strong recoil, they feel powerful to use, as opposed to Village where they felt like plastic toys most of the time, except for the Magnum. The inventory management is okay. I'm not a big fan of inventory management in horror games. To me, it's just an annoyance. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't make the game scarier or anything like that. It just extends the runtime by requiring a lot of backtracking, running back and forth to the chests to store items and get items and everything. But compared to Chronos, The New Dawn, for instance, which had awful item management pacing, this game's pretty okay at that. Of course, as expected, this game has crafting in it, which again is an unnecessary extra step. It's much better to just put the final items in the level for you to pick up instead of collecting scrap metal to craft these very same items. It doesn't require any brain power, it's not challenging, it devalues exploration and makes it less satisfying. But of course, it's easier for the devs to slap a half-baked crafting system than to make good level design, which would make exploration feel rewarding. When playing as Grace in the Chronic Care Center, which is the biggest dungeon in this game, there are locks you can pick with lockpicks similar to the previous 2 games, but for some reason they just don't use this mechanic anymore after you go to the care center's basement. From that point on, there are no more lockpicks or locks for you to pick. Again, this game's pretty bad at keeping things consistent. For Grace, the old lighter mechanic of setting zombies you killed on fire so they don't come back is now replaced by these hemolytic injectors. You can blow up the corpses of zombies you've already killed, or use them to insta-kill zombies that are alive by sneaking up on them from behind. It's pretty satisfying to use. And when you kill zombies, they can leave behind pools of blood that she can collect, and that's basically her version of the chemical from the previous 2 games, the material you use for crafting. It's weird, I don't know how collecting infected blood allows you to craft ammunition, but it is what it is, I guess. Just ignore it. It's just one of these nonsensical RE things. The yellow paint was toned down. It's still there. It shouldn't be. Even though it's not as ridiculous as in RE7 or 8, I still want it all to go away, so Capcom, drop the shit already. Jesus. Now for the worst things. The puzzles are brain dead easy. This game has the easiest puzzles in any horror game I've ever played in my life. probably. You need to open a safe. Oh, don't worry, you'll find a document telling you exactly what the code is for every single safe in this game. And these documents are not even hidden. It's impossible to miss them. There's a big overarching puzzle. Well, don't worry, there will be documents with yellow paint on the text conveniently telling you exactly what to do. Most of them are the same too. Collect 3 things and assemble them to progress to the next area. This puzzle, you have to press the symbols in order. You don't even have to think. There's just a note telling you exactly what you have to press. Man, puzzles are one of the biggest facets of survival horror. When you make them this easy, it's so disappointing. Another thing they did but dropped pretty soon were all the crafting recipes you could learn by bringing these samples to analysis machines. Then you'd have to do this little puzzle, which were the only puzzles that required a little bit of brain power to complete to unlock new crafting recipes. But once you're done exploring the care center, which is like the first fourth of the game, this gameplay mechanic is not used anymore. And the worst things about Grace are she runs so fucking slow. It makes no sense. I played this in first person, but when I watched streams that were playing in third person, her running animation looks so stupid because her movement speed is so slow. It's pretty annoying how she keeps panting in fear all the time. The game's trying to make the player feel vulnerable as she is, but it doesn't work. Seriously, just stop. But the worst thing about the Grace segments by far are the hide and seek gameplay parts. I hate this in horror games. It was awful in 7. It was still bad in Village, and here it's also fucking annoying. There's no fun in waiting for the enemy to move out of your way so you can progress. You could call this stealth, but stealth in games needs to offer you choices, many options to deal with your enemies that you're trying to sneak by. This game doesn't have that many options. You can throw bottles to distract the enemies, and when dealing with the girl, you can throw Molotov cocktails at her at some points. It makes her leave, and that's good, but it's only in this basement section that you can do it. Other than that, you can only wait and wait and wait until the enemy decides to move away to a different place so you can progress. It's bad game design. This is why people want more Leon and less Grace, because of these BS, annoying as fuck hide and seek segments. Capcom, please stop doing these. It's easy to get stuck in a corner as well when you're hiding, but the monster sees you 5 meters away in the dark for no reason because Capcom thinks the player is omniscient and is supposed to just guess that some corners in particular are bad to hide in, and then you're stuck in a corner without being able to push the monster aside to escape, and you can only watch as it mauls you to death. It's so bad, and most of the constant scripted events in this game happen in these hide and seek sections. You're trying to progress, and then the monster just busts through a wall in front of you in hunting mode, and you can't do anything but run away and hide and wait and wait and wait. It's tiresome, and it's super predictable. Whenever you pick up a key item or do something mildly important, you can be 100% sure that some scripted bullshit's gonna happen. Some things in this game feel like they were shoehorned because they are unique, but they're super shallow. Like there's these segments where you have to carry Emily with you and you can't fight. You can only run from enemies. Now the game expected me to put her down so I could clear the way of enemies, but I didn't need to do that. It's pretty easy to avoid the enemies and just go straight to the goal with her on your arms. And this is the feeling this game gave me throughout the playthrough. It's a long game with lots of stuff in it, but it feels weirdly shallow at times. It's like this game is a filler arc in an anime or a movie adaptation of something, which is always pretty shallow. It doesn't feel like it adds much to the franchise. 7 and Village were their own unique stories with Ethan and everything, so even though the characters were new, it felt like something of substance. This game doesn't feel as substantial, if you get what I'm saying. There's there's this one last stand quote-unquote section where you have to wait for Emily to solve a puzzle only she can read, and this felt so unnecessary. She was reading a fucking book in Braille, but she takes 10 minutes to read 3 words in Braille when it really matters. Like, what the hell? It's just sun, moon, and star. It shouldn't take her 5 hours to do. But yeah, this is the Grace gameplay. It's pretty decent in the care center. After that, it takes a nosedive, unfortunately. It's pretty good when you can explore everything in peace and you're not in one of these chase or hide and seek parts. This game would have overall been much better without those. Now, the Leon gameplay. Leon's half of the gameplay is significantly better. Just by never having hide and seek segments makes him twice as better to play. Now his segments are much more action oriented, of course, dropping the pretense of this being a horror game altogether, which should have been the case from the beginning. By default, he plays in third person. He runs a little faster than Grace, although his controls I felt were more slippery for some reason. Apparently it's like this in RE4 Remake too. I don't remember, it's been a while since I've played that one, but I believe it. His inventory is much bigger. After all, he carries much bigger and more powerful weapons. He has his usual melee moves and finishers we're familiar with. Now it's been a long time since I've played RE4 or RE4 Remake, so I can't really say how the melee combat compares, but I can tell you that the animations when he swings his axe are a little bit goofy. It kinda looks like he's doing some dance moves because he holds the poses after swinging. It's pretty silly. In the first Grace-centric half of the game, his segments are super short. After Grace descends to the basement, all you do as Leon is go over the same places she has been, opening some wardrobes she couldn't open, with a little bit of combat here and there. Just for reference, in one of those you do nothing but protect Grace by sniping, just like he did for Ashley in RE4, dude. My member berries. I remember. And then you fight this guy and it's over. It's extremely underwhelming how little effort they put on his segments in the first half of the game. But in the second half, things improve again as Leon goes to Raccoon City. Yes, dude. My nostalgia bait. Yes, I'm soying out and clapping and kicking my feet in glee. Best game ever, right? No. But in all seriousness, this is indeed the best part of the game in my opinion. The atmosphere is pretty good. There's a lot to explore. You basically have to search for 3 parts. Yes, once again, puzzles with the number 3. You have to look for the 3 parts of a detonator to open the gate so we can go to the city center. And each area has their own unique gimmick, both in their environments and gameplay terms. The first one is this logistics construction building. You have to put platforms in place so you can progress. The second part, on the rooftops, has you fighting a shit ton of zombies in military gear. Some of them shoot you, but in a way you'd expect a zombie to shoot, very haphazardly and mindlessly, not like the RE4 or 5 guys with guns who are clearly sentient. But some of the stuff goes in that direction because zombies also shoot mortars at you and you have to snipe them to progress without being bombarded to bits. And the third part has you exploring these tilted buildings. It's very unstable ground, and there's this little part I liked where you have to shoot the glass from under the zombies and be careful not to let the ones that are holding grenades explode and make you fall to your death. It's a pretty interesting gimmick. Unfortunately here, the game makes it clear how spiritually yellow painted it still is when it pauses to tell you that you can shoot the glass from under the zombies to you, as if the player is too stupid to figure that out with the clues the game has given us. It's all so very dumbed down for all the normies who don't know that pressing forward makes the character walk forward. Some of the things that I didn't like include the fact that you get money by killing zombies. It's like a point system. You don't collect money anymore or treasure that you can assemble and sell. No, it's all automatic. Kill a zombie, get points. Pick up one of these point things and the game sells them for you automatically once you get back to the store. It's a downgrade compared to the previous games. Not to mention that the items in the shop are always the same. You don't get new guns over time. There are a bunch of jump scares in this part of the game where a zombie would just grab you from the floor and deal damage. It's pretty cheap and unfair, to be honest. Also, although I think Leon runs faster than Grace, he's still pretty slow, and that is a problem sometimes when you're fighting. There are some props like explosive barrels and weapons the zombies drop when you kill them that you can throw yourself, but you can't throw them or even interact with them if there aren't any enemies near you. When you throw them, the game just does it for you. You don't need to aim or anything, and Leon just throws it at the nearest enemy. It's one of the undercooked parts of this game. The grenades can just not work if the zombies are in an animation, and that sucks because the grenades are some of the hardest things to craft as Leon. The part with the mortars has a problem where you can shoot the mortars yourself after you kill the zombies controlling them, but unlike the zombies did to you, you can't destroy the roofs at the top of this building. And in this one part, the zombies just start spawning out of nowhere where they could have just existed and rewarded the player if they wanted to mess around with the mortar first, so the player could just have gotten rid of them from the beginning. But the way it does it is you cannot do that. You have to trigger them and then run back to the mortar to use it. And these zombies, they run pretty fucking fast. So when I got to the mortar, I couldn't even use it anymore. The zombies were already there with me. And at one scripted event, you have to fight this zombie who's carrying a chainsaw. And so you pick up your own chainsaw and you have this silly chainsaw clash with him. It's just one of these corny things RE always does, which is not really bad. But Leon likes to do this annoying finishing move with the chainsaw and drops it in the process. So you have to wait until it stops spinning for you to pick it up again. I don't know what this was necessary. Oh, and the city is very gray. Yeah, I know the city was nuked, and the atmosphere is pretty good, but just the visuals I wish were a little bit more colorful. It's been 26 years, and on the parts where we're not near the blast center, these areas should have been overtaken by vegetation at this point. After you blow up the gate, you have this motorcycle section, which feels very strange because you don't control the driving. Leon does it for you. The only thing you can do is shoot the enemies. I don't know, it feels really weird to not be able to drive when your character is in the driver's seat. It's very strangely immersion breaking. It feels like the character has taken away control from you and is rebelling or something. I don't know, it's weird. I know that Resident Evil 6 also had one of these, and in that one you could drive. It would have been much better if you could just drive and shoot here instead of it just being a on-rails turret section pretty much. And it ends with this showdown between Leon and Dr. Gideon. This shit is straight out of Akira, dude. Pretty silly, but kinda kino at the same time. Then you revisit RPD, and you get all the member berries. Not from the original game, no, from the remake of 2. So these member berries are for the Zoomers, not millennials. Brutal, absolutely brutal. In RPD, you get a flashback segment where you play as Chloe, and this is the worst part of the game. It's as bad, if not worse, than the first hour. It's just a walking simulator where you just hide from these bald kids who are anything but scary. And it takes place in that same orphanage from the RE2 remake that nobody cared for and nobody liked. Yes, more hide and seek waiting gameplay. In this case, you cannot do anything. You can't even throw bottles. All you can do is wait. This place is full of these slow animations that take control away from the character. This is a movie segment. There shouldn't be gameplay here. At some point after after I was done hiding, I wanted to progress, but the kids glitched. They wouldn't get out of the way. So I had to go back and hide myself again, wait 30 more seconds just to be sure, and then the kids disappeared and I could progress. God, this part of the game also kills most of the replayability potential. It's so unnecessary and dumb. It's just a movie segment. Just put a fucking cutscene, man. God, the pacing in this game is awful. It's worse than Villages, and that's already a damn low bar. But this segment is inconsequential. We never hear from this character again. It shouldn't even exist. It's just a time waster. You have some pretty easy boss fights after that against Mr. X. Yes, he's back. More nostalgia bait. And then later against Plant 43, dude. More member berries. Do you remember this? Also pretty easy. And then you have the Hunk boss fight. Oh, Jesus Christ. What are we doing? He's one of the easiest, shortest boss fights. The unkillable Hunk dies to Leon like he's a piece of shit on the side of the road. What is this character assassination, man? I'm sure they won't let him die though, at least. They wouldn't be stupid enough to do that. But this whole fight is just fan service. It's completely out of nowhere, completely out of place. It's just to score points with the retard Redditors, who I'm sure were soying out very bad when they saw this. The shit is fucking insane. Here he's just Krauser. They copy-pasted that boss fight and changed the skin to Hunk. Wow. It's all so tiresome, man. And speaking of lazy copy-pastes, the final boss is just a copy-paste of Nemesis from the RE3 remake. It's the exact same fucking boss. Shoot this wall of flesh in the glowing tumors until it dies. Also extremely easy, way easier than in that game. Man, what is happening here? This game fell off a cliff. And that's it. Here are some issues I forgot to mention earlier. Sometimes the gameplay gets infuriatingly bad, as I said with the girl making you stuck. But there's also the issue that the enemies can attack you as many times as they want. You don't get iframes after you're hit, so they can just stun lock you and kill you. There's nothing you can do about it. And also, sometimes the bubble heads, or the blister heads rather, they will one-shot Leon. Even if you are at full health and full armor, they will grab you and insta-kill you. It's ridiculous. When you have to fight the human soldiers at the end of the game, they know exactly where you are. At all times, you can't even stealthily sneak behind them. And there's also an issue with the sensitivity in this game. I played on controller, and aiming the weapons, like, it's either way too slow or way too fast. It's not calibrated at all. So yes, all in all, even with all these problems, the gameplay is still the best part of the game. Everything else is worse. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the gameplay. Let's go over the plot and the characters. The plot, like I said, it feels like it belongs to a movie. It ends with a new thread to be explored in the sequel, most definitely. But it feels like every thread this game starts and the beginning is closed by the end. So it gives me that distinct movie feeling with everything being started and solved within it, very contained, which makes it feel a little bit redundant. Like I said, many things feel shoehorned and shallow. For instance, the retcon that Leon is infected by the T-virus and has been ever since the events in Raccoon City decades before. I'll just spoil everything from this point on, so if you don't want to be spoiled, skip this entire section. But him being infected canonically gets solved by the end of the game, so it was pretty much a useless plot device. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Grace. Grace is a shit tier character, to be honest. She's clearly traumatized, yet she works in the FBI, a job that requires you to have thick skin. It doesn't seem like she's just a pencil pusher. After all, she was assigned to this job, which makes me think she has been assigned to jobs in field multiple times before. But she feels more like a journalist than an FBI agent. She whimpers all the time, she's always super afraid, and her personality is super weak. She's much worse than any of the other female characters characters in this franchise like Claire, Jill, even Rebecca, which is the most shy one, I guess, is much better than her. This girl, Grace, has zero charisma. She's investigating all these mysterious disease-caused deaths, so she gets put to investigate the same exact hotel where her adoptive mother was killed years before in front of her eyes. This policeman comes up to her to talk about stuff, and he clearly sees that this little girl is shaken, but still decides that it's a good idea to let her go inside alone anyway. And in there, she meets one of the main villains, Dr. Victor Gideon, this zombie motherfucker who talks just like a normal person. This is one problem I have with these RE games. All the horrible monsters talk like people. I want to go back to when monsters were monsters. That's all I have to say. But this Frankenstein monster doctor here thinks Grace is special, that she has the key to unlocking Elpis, something that by this point we don't know what it is, but everybody thinks it's a weapon, much more insane than any of the previous viruses, like the T virus we all know about. So he kidnaps her, puts her in the care center, she escapes, and in there she meets this little girl, Emily, who looks weirdly like her, but who's blind, and we get some amazing, genius level commentary from Grace like this.
You can't see, can you?
Bruh.
Wow, best female character ever in this franchise, guys. Anyway, this little girl's sister was experimented on and turned into this monster who keeps chasing Grace everywhere and is responsible for the worst parts of the gameplay in this game. Leon, who's also investigating the case, goes to the care center as well. He meets Grace there, saves her from the girl, which is the monster, but he gets captured by Gideon. Meanwhile, Grace takes the kid with her to solve a puzzle in order for them to escape. But after that, the girl captures Emily and Grace goes after them. Grace rescues her from the basement and they escape. With Grace being an absolute moron, she gives the kid to this random black guy who just tells her to go get the keys for the helicopter that he left inside of this house for some reason. It looks like a trap. Inside, she finds this lab where they're preserving all the George Droid zombies and the Fent reactor. Gideon comes in and he yaps on the phone for a bit, and then he starts the self-destruct sequence for some reason. So Grace escapes and joins the black guy in the helicopter, who for some reason, even though he told her to go in there, he didn't know about any of that. He was a good guy. Like, that was so fucking weird. He even says, oh, my boss left the keys in there. How is this guy innocent? But anyway, the black guy crashes the helicopter and dies. So now Leon has to help by sniping everyone so Grace can escape. Then after that, they go underground. Grace fights the girl and kills her for good, but then Emily starts to mutate. She turns into this horrible monster. Leon arrives and shoots her, and then she apparently dies, and Grace, being a dumb bitch, gets all upset at Leon and doesn't want to come with him anymore. Wow, such a good character. Am I supposed to like her? Because I think the game wants me to hate her, and it's succeeding at that. Then she meets Discount Wesker. Yes, this Temu version of Wesker takes her with him to Raccoon City, and now it's up to Leon to go after her because this dumb bitch doesn't know what's best for her and is always causing trouble. So he explains to her what Elpis is, or what he thinks it is, and she just tags along with him. Meanwhile, Leon gets rid of Gideon in that motorcycle segment and arrives at the Ark where Discount Wesker took Grace, and it turns out they were making clones of Grace in the Ark because they thought that they were the perfect match for the T virus, which would turn them into the perfect bioweapons, and Emily was one of these clones, or so they thought, because it is revealed that Grace is not special. She's just a random kid Spencer adopted in order to atone for what he had done in his life, which is another retcon that this game does. This game already retconned the nuke. It wasn't to stop the spread of the disease, but to protect Elpis. The only reason they were after her is because they thought she had the password which would unlock Elpis. Well, the thing is, she didn't even know the password, but close to the end of the game, she watches this video, and I guess she just guesses that the password is hope. And so at the end of the game, you get to choose whether to destroy Elpis or to release it. And here it is finally revealed that Elpis is not a new bioweapon. It is actually the cure for the T-virus and all other bioweapons ever created. And so Discount Wesker here, the dumb fuck, takes it, loses all his powers. Gideon comes back from the dead somehow, cuts his head off, and is like, "This is the intellect of my master. You were all played." But at the same time, he doesn't take the cure. I don't know what his deal is here, dude. I don't know what he wants anymore. I guess he just doesn't want Elpis anymore and tries to destroy it, and they start the final boss fight. After you kill him, both of them are rescued by Chris's private army or whatever the fuck those guys are. I don't remember. And that's it. Kind of a clusterfuck, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It turns out that Emily did not die. Leon didn't hit her vital spots, so Grace going with Discount Wesker to Raccoon City was not even necessary in the first place. It was all a waste of time to justify the second half of this game existing, and this stupid bitch caused all these problems for Leon and almost got him killed. What a great character. See, this is what I mean. They went to Raccoon City, they got the cure, the plot device to cure the other plot device that was retconned on Leon because of another plot device that gets retconned at the end. It's a complete clusterfuck, and everything is solved just like that. So all of this plot feels highly unnecessary and like filler, honestly. Now, I already went over why I don't like Grace, but Leon, this new version of him, which started because of the remake, he's just way more boring. There's none of that charm that RE4 Leon had either in the RE4 remake. He just sounded more tired and irritable, sulky even in that game. And in this game is just that, but he's even older, more irritable, more stoic. He doesn't talk much. He's just he's bland. He's bland now. I don't like what they did to his personality at all. He still has some one-liners in this game, but they're not as good as they were back then. And you can see how Capcom wanted to appeal to the women and the gays with some of the scenes in this game. This shit is so gay, dude. Emily, she's just a plot device. She doesn't have anything to do with Grace. She's just there to open the door for you to leave the station, or rather the care center. She's literally a plot device, nothing more than that. Gideon started interesting, but like I said, I would much rather have a mindless monster as a villain than this guy who talks quietly and softly, even though he's this abomination. I don't know what his point was at the end. And again, the game does a bait and switch. He's not the big bad after all. It's the Wesker clone, the Timo Wesker here, the big mastermind behind all the events in this game. And then he dies just like this, instantly. We don't even fight him. And he is quite literally just Discount Wesker. He dodges bullets and shit just like Wesker could. He has the sunglasses and everything. Like, it's just nostalgia bait. Again, even in the character designs. And Sherry, well, she's just a background character. There's not anything to be said about her. And that's the characters and plot. Extremely mid. The graphics are what you'd expect from the RE engine. They're exactly the same as RE4 Remake and RE2 Remake. Maybe a little bit better, but the general feel is the same. And the game runs much better than Unreal Engine 5 slop. So that's a pro at least. One thing that I liked is how the blood stains for when you blow up the zombies, they stay, they don't despawn over time, and they even go on some of the items you can interact with. But other than that, it's all very unremarkable visually speaking. It's the same generic photorealistic look we see everywhere in modern games now. And something as unremarkable as the graphics is the music. Similarly, it's extremely bland, generic, and the only place where I actually stopped to appreciate one little thing about it was in RPD, the police station theme that we all know. Yes, more nostalgia nostalgia bait, I know, but at least they made this version sound pretty desolate with the synths in the background. They communicate well how old and forgotten this place is. But other than that, it's extremely bland. Like, there's nothing more to be said. I know this section of the video is super short, but it reflects what the game offers. There's nothing special here. It's just soulless and boring. But don't worry, guys, just give Capcom some extra shackles. Buy the deluxe edition, and you can have the old OST in the game for your nostalgia needs. I didn't. I wanted to judge this game purely on its own merits, and the soundtrack is just trash. Hell, there isn't even save room music. This franchise is losing its identity more and more as the games come by. It's sad. It's very sad to see this happening. And all the consumers who are clapping and saying that this game is the best thing ever made in the franchise, they are all responsible for this. So, conclusion. This game so far, best game that was released this year, AAA at least, but that's not saying much at all. The gameplay is decent, good even, when you're not hiding and seeking with your friends, the monsters. The pacing in this game is horrid. It manages to be worse than Villages somehow, and it feels like filler, to be honest. There's some mindless fun in it, but some of the gameplay elements aren't really challenging, like the whole lockpicking stuff and collecting blood to craft. They are satisfying to the dopamine brain, but when you think about it, that's their whole purpose. It's just feedback. I would rather have challenge that makes the feedback meaningful, and it helps to prevent your brain from becoming addicted to stimulus like this. IGN giving this game a 9 out of 10 is an extreme exaggeration. This game is between a 6.5 and a 7 to me. I was gonna give it a 7.5 or an 8, but once they started to lean very heavily on the member berries and that awful orphanage walking simulator segment played, plus all the reused boss fights and that awful character assassination they did to Hunk, I couldn't. So to me, this game is around a 6.5 out of 10. It's slightly less enjoyable than Village. It appeals to a lot of nostalgia baiting and member berries everywhere, from locations to music to character designs. So I can't give it any more than that. So this game does not give me confirmation again on whether 2026 is really gonna be worse than 2025, but I'm still tending towards that being the case. This game did not make a dent in that theory. It didn't confirm it, nor did it disprove it to me. I guess at least it's good that this game wasn't terrible, but is it worth $70 on release day? No. This game doesn't even come with a Mercs mode. You're paying $70 just for the main story, and that's it. Extra features are sorely lacking. You're really not missing out on anything great if you decide to wait for a sale or when, you know, the high seas beckon. And that's pretty much all I had to say about this one, guys. I'll go back to working on that Silent Hill horror video because I'm not expecting any other games. I'm not interested in anything that's coming out soon to cover, so I'll work on that. It's gonna be a pretty long one as well. Maybe not 2 hours long, maybe it will, we'll see. But take care, everybody. See ya.